My name is Linda. I'm 72. These days, I wake up in my son's house before anybody else is up. I sleep on a daybed in the den. They call it a room. It doesn't feel like one. There's no door, just a wide opening to the hallway. Around the daybed are storage boxes, Christmas decorations, shoes, old school projects, extra blankets, things that already belong somewhere. Some mornings I just lie there and listen before I get up. Footsteps, cabinet doors, running water, the coffee starting. I wait until the kitchen feels available. I never thought I'd get to this age and feel nervous about walking into my own son's kitchen. But after a while, you start noticing everything. A sigh, a drawer, your sweater folded and moved, your things put away a little too fast. The little ways a house lets you know what belongs and what doesn't. I'm living in my son's house, and I feel like an unwanted guest in my own family. Nobody said that to my face. Not at first. I just started hearing it in the air. In how quickly I learned to make the bed like a hotel bed, fold my cardigan into my tote, keep my life in one corner, eat a little less so I'd be a little less trouble. Then one Sunday afternoon, I was walking past the kitchen with a small laundry basket in my hands when I heard the words, "nursing home paperwork." I stopped right there in the hallway, and I realized they were already talking about my future without me in the room.
It's a special kind of loneliness when you're surrounded by family and still feel like you shouldn't take up space. How do you live inside the home of people you love without disappearing inside it?
That's exactly the question.
What's the first room where you learned to stand back and wait?
A hallway outside my childhood kitchen. I can still smell coffee and onions, and I'm standing there listening before I walk in.
Tell me about that house.
It was quiet, but not peaceful quiet. It was careful quiet. My father worked hard and came home tired. My mother was quick hands, quick temper, quick little answers that could make you feel silly for asking at the wrong time.
So you learned to read the room.
Oh yes, I learned the sound of the front door, the sound of a drawer closing, the difference between a regular sigh and a bad one.
You became a little weather reporter.
Exactly, I was the oldest, so I learned early that my job was to make things easier. Help your father rest, don't ask twice, don't be a bother, be a good girl.
What happened if you were sad or scared or needed something?
Most of the time, I swallowed it. If I did try to say something, it was usually, "You're fine," or "Stop being dramatic," or "Not now." So after a while, you stop bringing your feelings all the way into the room with you.
You edit yourself before you even speak.
Yes, I remember one afternoon very clearly. I was standing outside the kitchen. My aunt was visiting. My mother was at the sink. They were talking about money. I needed a winter coat. Mine was too small. The sleeves were short. I had worked up the nerve to ask. Then I heard my aunt say, "For we are already stretched thin." And my mother said, "I know." She never even looked up when she said it. I remember touching the cuff of my coat before I turned around. I went back to my room and pulled the sleeves down again, like maybe that could fix it.
So the question died before it ever became a sentence.
Yes, that little girl learned something in that hallway.
What did she learn?
She learned to wait. She learned to listen first. She learned that needing something at the wrong moment could make you feel ashamed.
And that being easy was safer than being honest.
Yes. I learned very early that being easy was the safest way to be loved.
That's a hard lesson to build a life on.
It becomes automatic. If I cleaned without being asked, my mother softened. If I made things easier, there was warmth. So usefulness and love got tied together in my mind.
Love became something you earned by not being difficult. So that little girl never really left. She just got older. What did that lesson look like in adult life?
It looked like becoming the person who could handle everything quietly.
Did you marry young?
22.
What kind of wife were you?
Reliable, organized, the one who remembered everything. Groceries, appointments, lunches, clean uniforms, stain remover, extra aspirin, birthday cards mailed on time.
And your husband?
He wasn't cruel, he just wasn't built for feelings. If I came to him soft, needing comfort, he was often still half inside the newspaper.
Do you remember a moment like that?
Yes. One night, one of the boys had a fever. I'd been up most of the night. The next morning, I was standing in the kitchen telling my husband I was exhausted, and he said, "What do you want me to do about it?" Not mean, just flat. I remember standing there with a dish towel in my hand, realizing I had brought something tender to a place that only knew how to answer practical things.
So you stopped bringing the tender things.
Mostly, yes. You stop bringing soft things to a hard surface after a while.
And then motherhood.
I loved being a mother. There was always a lunch to pack, a permission slip to sign, a ride to give, a cough to listen to, a forehead to check back. Back then, there was always somewhere I was clearly needed. There was always a reason for me to get up and move towards somebody.
Needed meant belonging.
Yes. When the boys were little, I always knew where to stand. Later, it got quieter. Not all at once. That's what people don't always understand. Distance doesn't always come as one big wound. Sometimes it comes in small, ordinary ways. My 70th birthday. My son called. I could hear the television behind him. He said, "Happy birthday, Mom. Love you. Gotta run. 30 seconds, maybe." I stood in my kitchen afterward with the phone in my hand, and the clock sounded so loud. And I thought, I'm not really inside his daily life anymore. Sometimes I learned things after they had already happened. Apple picking, a school event, dinner with friends. Nothing huge, just enough to realize I was hearing about my own family the way other people do. In bits.
You were moving from central to peripheral.
Yes. My daughter-in-law was always polite. She still is. That's part of why this took me so long to say out loud. She was never openly cruel. Just busy, distant, a little sealed off, the kind of distance that makes you tuck yourself in.
A door that never slams but never really opens.
Exactly. Then my husband died. And for all our problems, once he was gone, the quiet changed shape. I got my little apartment after that. It was small, but it was mine.
What did mine feel like?
My own mug, my own chair by the window, my oatmeal at 11 if I wanted it, my sweater on the chair for 2 days, and nobody moved it, a little plant on the sill. It wasn't glamorous. But that little apartment fit me. It let me be.
Then the fall happened.
Yes. I fell in the kitchen. No broken hip, thank God. But I couldn't get up for a while. I remember staring at the dust under the cabinets and thinking, if this happens again, what then? Fear moved in before I was ready to name it.
So when your son said, "Come stay with us for a while," you said yes.
I did. I ended the lease, packed my life into boxes, labeled them neatly. Maybe I thought if I packed cleanly enough, I would make the whole thing easier on everyone. Easy to place, easy to store.
And those boxes ended up around your daybed.
Around it, yes. So by the time that sentence came, it wasn't landing in an empty place.
No, it was landing on years of practice.
Yes.
By then, your body was already bracing before the sentence ever came.
It was.
Take me into that Sunday. Where were you and what did you hear?
Sunday, late afternoon, the kind of late afternoon that already feels tired. I was on the daybed in the den. The house was busy without really being together. The television somewhere. Little bursts of laughter from a phone. Pots in the kitchen. Water running. I thought, I should do some laundry. I didn't want to just sit there looking like I had nowhere to go. So I took a small laundry basket. Small felt better. Small feels less visible. I walked down the hallway toward the laundry room. The kitchen island is right there on the way. My son and daughter-in-law were standing by it. They didn't know I was there. They thought I was in the den, in my room. My daughter-in-law's voice was low but tight. She said, "I can't keep doing this. Your mom's stuff is everywhere." And my son said, "Just hang in there till we figure out the nursing home paperwork."
What happened in your body right then?
My hands went cold. The plastic handle bit into my hand. My stomach dropped so fast it felt like missing a step in the dark. I couldn't make myself take one more step. Shame came first. Immediately. It felt like I had been caught somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. I know that sounds strange because I was just walking down the hallway in the home where I live, but it felt like eavesdropping on my own life. And it was the casualness of it that broke me. It didn't sound like grief. It didn't sound like fear. It sounded like a plan already moving. Like paperwork had a life of its own, and I had somehow missed the meeting where my future became an errand. I turned around very quietly. Like if I moved softly enough, maybe I could put the words back in their mouths. I went back to the den and sat on the edge of the daybed with the basket in my lap. The room looked too bright. The overhead light made everything look exposed, and the boxes looked different, like evidence. Evidence that I had spilled too far into their life. Evidence that I was temporary. I stared at one Christmas box and thought, they could pack me up just like that. I didn't cry right away. I could still hear them in the kitchen. Then I heard a little laugh from in there, and I remember thinking, they are still having a Sunday. Mine just ended. That night I got quieter. I folded my cardigan, lined up my shoes, put my toothbrush in the tote, said no to dinner, started getting ready without admitting I was getting ready. It was true. I thought, good, less dishes, less movement, less trouble. That night, because there is no door, I could see the hallway light on the carpet. Just a strip of light, and it felt exactly like being a little girl again, outside a room, waiting to hear whether I belonged inside it. After that, I believed I was a burden, a project, a temporary arrangement people were trying to outlast. And I heard my future like it was a plan on a calendar, just not one I was invited into.
Say the hardest part.
The hardest part was this. I felt like I did not have a say in my own ending. I didn't want to confront them. I wanted to make myself invisible. I just wanted not to be present, to become so easy, so quiet, so little, that nobody would have to manage me anymore.
And what interrupted that?
A nurse. And then a friend. Two women who spoke to me like I was still real.
Start with the nurse.
It was a follow-up appointment after the fall. My son drove me. He looked tired. And my first thought, of course, was, I'm doing this to him. Shame makes itself the center of the problem that way. We were still in intake, not even with the doctor yet. The nurse was kind, but not sugary kind. Real kind. She asked the usual things: pain, balance, medication. Then she looked up and said, emergency contact? Rose. That should have been an easy answer. One word: my son. But after hearing nursing home paperwork, even that felt complicated. Like I wasn't sure I was allowed to claim him. I finally said, my son. It came out sounding like I was asking permission. Then she asked, do you feel safe where you're staying? And I said yes, which was true. Then she paused and said, safe is good. But safe isn't the whole thing. That did something inside me. It made me feel seen in a place I hadn't even admitted to myself yet. Then she asked, do you have privacy? And I laughed, that little laugh women do when they're about to minimize their own life. I said, oh, I'm fine. I'm easy. And she said, very calm, you don't have to be easy to deserve care. I didn't know how hungry I was to hear it until somebody finally said it. She handed me a pamphlet and a number for a social worker. I brought it home and sat on the edge of the daybed with that paper in my lap for almost an hour, thinking, I didn't know I was allowed to have options.
And then Gloria.
Yes.
Gloria from church, she asked how I was. I said, I'm fine.
Yeah.
She looked at me and said, do you have a door? She said, then you don't have a room. You have a corner. And I cried in the church hallway. She didn't attack my son. She didn't make a speech. She just said, you are disappearing. I can see it. Then she invited me to lunch at the senior center on Wednesday.
What happened before Wednesday came?
I took out a pad of paper and sat on the daybed with it in my lap. At the top I wrote, what I need to feel like a person. Privacy. It felt selfish for about 10 seconds. Then it felt true. I wrote privacy. A real boundary. A door, if possible. A curtain, if not. A place for my things that did not look temporary. Then I wrote plan. Not hints. Not size. Not we'll see. A real plan. Then I wrote, a life outside the house. Somewhere I was just me.
And once you had that in front of you, what could you finally say out loud?
I could finally say, I feel like an intruder in my own family, and I could say what I wanted instead. I want privacy. I want a real plan. I want a say in my own future. And the clearest sentence of all was this: I want to plan with you, not be planned around.
What was the first thing you did differently after that?
I made breakfast because I had been skipping it, trying to be less dishes, less movement, less proof. That morning I made oatmeal and tea and sat by the window. Nobody noticed, but I noticed. It was the first thing I had done for myself in that kitchen in a while. Then I called the social worker. My hands were shaking so hard I almost hung up before she answered. But she asked useful questions, good questions. Do you have privacy? Do you have a plan? Are you on any wait lists? Do you want information about senior housing? Do you want help preparing for a family conversation? I almost said, no, that's okay, out of habit. Then I heard that nurse in my head, you don't have to be easy to deserve care. So I said, yes, please send it. And then Wednesday came. Gloria picked me up for the senior center. I nearly canceled because I thought I would walk in there and feel old or awkward, or like I was only proving that I needed somewhere else to belong. But it smelled like coffee and soup. A woman in a green sweater smiled and said, "Hi, honey." I sat at a table where nobody acted like I had arrived by accident. At the end, one of them said, "See you Wednesday," like they already assumed I'd be back. That did something to me. It gave me the feeling that somewhere I was expected.
And then you finally talked to your son.
Yes. After dinner, the kids were upstairs, the dishes were mostly done. I said, "Can we talk for 10 minutes? My son looked worried right away. My daughter-in-law got very still. I started with, "I'm grateful you took me in after the fall. But I need to tell you the truth. I do not feel like I have a space that is mine." My son said, "Mom, you have the den." And for 1 second, I almost backed down. I almost said, "Never mind, I know you're both tired." But then I thought, no. If I stop now, I disappear again. So I said, "I know you made space for me. I'm not saying you did nothing. I'm saying I am starting to disappear in there, and it is not good for me." My daughter-in-law said, "Linda, the house is full. We have the kids, we have work. I've been trying to hold too much in this house." And she was right, that was true. So I said, "I know. That is exactly why we need a real plan. Because I can feel the strain, and I know you can too." Then I said, "There is something else." I heard the words nursing home paperwork. My son started to say, "Mom, no, that's not." Then he stopped. The room went completely still. My daughter-in-law looked down at the table. Nobody rushed to fix it with words. Real silence. My son put his hand over his mouth. My son said, "Mom, we weren't trying to hide something from you." And I said, "But you were planning something about me without me." My daughter-in-law said, "I was overwhelmed. I didn't know how to talk about the long-term part without sounding awful." Not a perfect apology, but honest enough to keep going. My son said, "I'm trying to do right by everybody here." Then he said, "I didn't know it felt that bad to you." And I said, "That is because I've been too quiet." Then I said the clearest thing I had. "I'm not trying to make your life harder. I'm trying to stay human." That changed the room. My son cried. Quietly. Not for drama. Just because something true had finally been said out loud. He said, "Mom, I don't want you to feel unwanted here." And I said, "Then please don't plan around me. Plan with me."
Once the truth was finally out, what happened next?
Not instant healing. Logistics. Which, honestly, was what we needed. My son asked, "Okay, so what are you asking for?" And I said, "Privacy, a real boundary, and a clear timeline." My daughter-in-law asked, "What does that look like?" And for once, I answered without apologizing first. If a door is too expensive right now, then a curtain. The boxes need to go, and we need to sit down and talk about the next 3 months out loud. So that's what we did Sunday afternoons. 10 minutes. Check in. What is working? What is not? 3 months to gather information together. Senior housing. Subsidized wait lists. Other options. All of it said out loud. The curtain was beige. Simple. When I pulled it closed the first time, I stood there with my hand on the fabric for a full minute. Not because a curtain is some miracle, but because it was a boundary I had asked for and actually received. We cleared the boxes too. My daughter-in-law helped. My grandson carried out the Christmas bins with earbuds in. I got a small cabinet for my things. I kept going to the senior center. I joined a slow walking group. I met a woman named Betty who is 78 and hilarious. She said, "You can need help and still stay yourself." I started writing 3 lines every night. Gratitude, need, respect. And yes, guilt still showed up. The first time I closed the curtain, part of me thought, that is rude. The first time I said no to something small, part of me thought, now they will stop loving you. But the world didn't break. My grandson asked for a ride once, and I said, "I can't today." He said, "Okay." My daughter-in-law asked if I could watch the kids, and I said, "I can, but I need the time, clearly." She said, "That's fair."
Where are you now?
Still in the house, still figuring out what comes next. But I'm no longer living inside hints. I have a voice there now. I have places to go outside that house. And I have options. It feels like a life again.
Looking back now, what do you carry with you from all of this?
Voice, plan, belonging. Voice means I speak while my life is still happening, not after the decision, not after the paperwork, while it still belongs to me. Plan means no more living on hints, no more trying to read signs like they're a housing strategy. Plan means we say the hard things out loud, and belonging means I do not have to earn my humanity by becoming smaller. I can be grateful, I can need help, and I can still need a door.
If you could go back to the woman sitting on that daybed after hearing those words in the kitchen, what would you tell her?
I would say, you are not a box, you are not a chore, you are not extra, and you do not have to punish yourself to stay loved.
And what would you say now to your son, your daughter-in-law, and the people listening who feel this in their chest?
To my son, I would say, I know you were tired, I know you were scared too, but if you love me, do not build my future in a room I'm not invited into. To my daughter-in-law, I would say, I see that this has been hard on you. I do. But I cannot disappear to make it easier. And to the people listening, I would say, start with one true sentence. I need privacy. I need a real plan. I want to be included in decisions about my life. You do not have to give a speech.
And if these conversations help you put words to things families rarely say out loud, subscribe and stay with us. And if there's a parent, adult child, or caregiver in your life who needs a better language for this moment, share this with them. Then tell us in the comments, at what point does help stop feeling like care and start feeling like quiet control?
I don't need a throne. I just need a door, a plan, and a voice.
Thank you for being here with us. We'll see you next time.